Hello everybody and welcome back into Planet Coaster 2. My name is Z Lucius, or you can call me Luck, whichever one works. Whichever one is fine. And welcome into episode 3. Still haven't come up with a name for the park, but that's okay. We'll come up with a name soon. I'm sure of it. I'm sure we'll come up with a name. But in the meantime, I hope you guys got your snacks ready. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I've decided to have a more bring you along approach rather than just heading straight into a speed build, because basically I wanted to try a few video format ideas to see which ones work and which ones don't, and try to develop my own style of video. So we're just going to try new things, and feel free to leave any feedback or suggestions in the comments below. But in this video I'm going to walk you through a little bit of my park planning process, and after which there will be progressive check-ins and eventually a speed build and cinematic to wrap everything up. So without further ado, let's get into episode 3. I want to talk you guys through how I plan things, because we've got a big park and we need to go ahead and decide what we're going to do with the rest of this land. I think when I first started, I just wanted to test out the coaster builder, so I plopped this coaster in here, and then I was pretty happy with it and decided to make a little park. And that was on flat ground, and those of you who have been around my channel for a little bit now, you know we don't do boring, we don't do flat ground, especially if you looked at my Planet Coaster 1 project. So I'm gonna go ahead and plan the rest of the park and maybe do some terraforming, and who knows, I don't know how much we're gonna get done in this episode, but you'll probably see what we get done, as I think I put an intro in the video. So we're gonna see how it goes. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is plan out some of the things I want to have in the park moving forward. So I think when I started this, I knew for a fact that I wanted to have a resort of some kind. I think it makes the most sense for the resort to be on the waterfront here, on maybe like a cliff overlooking the sea. I feel like that would be very beautiful, something you'd want to stay at. I'm just gonna mark it off here to save this area for resort purposes. Another reason why I chose this area is because it's already got some interesting terrain, so it won't be as difficult to terraform it and sculpt it the way I want it. So another thing I wanted to have in the park is a water park. Surprise, surprise, a water park in Planet Coaster 2, and I already have a lot of ideas for that, so I'm really excited. So I think for now we'll go ahead and just carve out this section here. Wow, that's pretty big for a water park, but that gives us ample space and a lot of landscaping opportunity and waterfall opportunity. Now we've got the water park, the resort. They're on opposite corners. I don't know how I feel about that. That might be okay actually. So I think this is like the best angle for a main street for me. I know this park, or this coaster rather, is going to be in the lowest part of the park, just because I built it on this flat sandbox world. So I think the rest of the park is going to be up at least like 50 feet. For the main street to be there, we'd want our entrance to either be here or here, or possibly here even. And if the entrance is here, the parking lot has to be around here. So if this is parking lot, there's a lot of park here that's kind of wasted, I feel like.
20 minutes later.
Alright, so we're back. I think I've figured it out. So I'm gonna have to terraform a lot of this mountain, but I want the parking lot. Let's use this red again. I think I want the parking lot around this part of the hyper coaster. That should add a lot of realism, because for a lot of these parks, they just throw their big out and back coaster at the edge of the parking lot sometimes. I mean, look at Hyperion, right? At Energylandia. Hyperion is literally a parking lot coaster that does something similar. It goes out and back right next to the parking lot, so you get a similar view to this. I'll probably think of something kind of like smart to do, because this is, I don't know how I feel about that. It's a bit much, especially with how much land is back here. We can figure something out for sure. So we're gonna have the parking lot go like that. Maybe the entrance plaza kind of like this. which then will fork off to another path off to the resort. Well, buildings here. Main Street wise, go like this. I love my one-sided main streets, I have to say. We do want a larger loop, so we'll do the water park entrance plaza, kind of like that. Oh, that drawing looks, oh my gosh, looks like I'm gonna get demonetized. That's what it looks like. Gonna have the big loop, maybe a bigger path section here. Might go around like this. I mean, I'm just this is like a trace. We're tracing in the main paths, and we'll figure out the rest later. So this is gonna have to extend the parking lot to here. It just makes sense, right? And you have the shuttles and the buses and all that. And then if we do our path like this, we have opportunities to theme different areas. Now we're gonna fast forward a little bit and bring some of these drawings to life. Alright, so we're back, and I made a little bit of progress. I've sort of terraformed the outskirts of the map. It's not done yet. Obviously, it's got a bit of a unsmooth look, so I'll finish that up. But we've got the general shape of the parking lot in, and I've been making these cells and copying and pasting them. And I started with this set here. So here we have car park props by Miss T-Rex, as well as car park by Miss T-Rex, but I've been using the props here. So I place this down, comes like this, and I've taken some of the pieces and sort of made them into kind of ploppable things that are more modular. So from this to this for my uses. So I don't think I'm going to use the rest of these, but I'm using the bus and the car spaces. So I've taken the bus area, and I'll kind of show you again later what I end up doing with this area, but for right now I've made it so it's feasible for the buses to drive into these spots. And then what I'm doing is, you can see I've got this, they're perfectly aligned as well as evenly spaced. It's about 3 parking spaces wide in between, so it's enough for plenty of traffic to go in between. And then I've just been just copy and pasting these down like so, all the way to the edge, and then taking off what I don't need. And then when you see I get to something like this, we're gonna do it like that, and then kind of cross this area out. And then I'm gonna end up deleting most of this inner line. Right now it's just there for me to get a feel of where the buses are gonna drive around the outskirts, so I don't place any parking in the bus driving lanes. And we just got one bus stop here. I don't know if it'll be functional, but we'll see. Once again, let's skip ahead and make a little bit more progress. Alright, so here we are back. Kind of made a lot of progress since last time. I lied. I said a little bit and I made a lot. Mostly I've just filled out the rest of the parking lot space with the actual parking spaces, as well as adding a handicap section. A lot of handicap parking actually, and then kind of thought through a lot of the logistics of the actual parking lot. Originally, I designed this parking lot going clockwise because I was under the assumption that all European countries drove on the left side, but that is just not the case, and I don't know why I thought that. I think it's only England that drives on the left, and a bunch of Asian countries, but everywhere else they drive on the right, just like in America. So again, I don't know where I got that, but that's just how I designed it, and I ultimately ended up keeping it going clockwise. I don't know, I think I like it, but I'll explain to you the logistics of the parking lot and how it's supposed to work later. Right now, I just wanted to talk about some of the details I added. So I added the curbs, which are a good height. They're a couple centimeters off the ground. We've also got the lighting, the big floodlights aiming down at the parking lot, as well as the section labels. So as you can see, there's different colors on each area, and then we've got different labels. So they'll say like A1, A2, A3, and then all the way down to like E2, I think, or something like that. So just giving a little bit of realism. I know that this is a very, very small parking lot for a theme park, but I don't know. I'll talk more about it in the time lapse, but I did not want to make this park like 60% parking lot. So that's the trade-off. A tiny parking lot, add a little bit of realism, but not too much, because it is a game at the end of the day, and I want to optimize fun. So yeah, let's get into the speed build. Alright, so it is speed build time, and I want to talk a little bit about parking lot coasters, because that was my whole gripe with this. I did not want to have a boring Six Flags style parking lot coaster, you know, that is just surrounded by cars on either side of the coaster, and it's just boring. So what we're doing is we're actually just lifting the parking lot off the ground, and we're gonna surround that turnaround of the coaster with, I guess, elevation, so it's interesting to look at, and it's not just a flat coaster. And I think I owe this game an apology. So last time I kind of bashed it or not bashed it, but I gave it a suggestion on the the scenery brush tool about being able to change the percentage or the size range of each piece that you're placing, and I said it wouldn't be hard for them to do, and it's been in the game already. So yeah, I discovered that. That's really fun. So I guess I was right about it not being hard to do, because it's already in the game. So yeah, I owe this game an apology, and I did actually find the train customization about like the mirroring and the twinning to add it to every car. So that is awesome. It's a little hard to find. I had to watch an entire like tutorial where I figured in the game you'd just be able to find it, but in any case, whatever. It's not a big deal. So yeah, now we're gonna blend this tall cliff face into the actual rest of the park, and I think this time-lapse speed build is a bit easier to watch than last time. Wouldn't you agree? It's a bit slower, but I feel like I move my camera around a lot less in this one for some reason. I think it's when you're building consciously about your movements, it kind of helps to move less. So that's one thing. And on the bright side, I don't think that it made me take longer to build, trying to keep a more steady angle. So that's good to know. Moving forward, I'll probably keep doing that. So yeah, let me know what you think about the whole video format. You know, I try to try something new, kind of bring you along with me as I built. And that way I can alleviate my main issue with my last video, which was way too much content in the video for me to try and squeeze everything in at once. And obviously the times 23 times 22 speed videos were a little bit nauseating, so apologies to anyone I made sick for watching those videos. Yeah, so I don't know exactly what we're gonna do next episode, but it's either going to be the entrance plaza or it is going to be the resort, and whichever one that is gonna be, I'm pretty excited to work on, because by then the the December update will probably be out already, and either way we're gonna get something new, something pretty cool. So we're gonna get glass, and my buildings are gonna be a little better, or we're gonna get some new mechanics. And regardless, I did not want to work on another coaster yet, because they are adding the unloading stations, which is huge. That's something we've all wanted since Planet Coaster 1, and they're adding it within a month of the game's release. So it's pretty cool. Should have been in at launch, but we don't talk about that. All right, and here we have to completely redo the supports just because originally this coaster was going to be an out and back into the woods. So the turnaround here wasn't going to be front and center, so I didn't put much thought into the supports. But now that it's going to be at the very front of the park, you're going to see it from the parking lot. You know, you're walking in, you're getting hype. I wanted to come up with a unique support structure for this, so that's why we're fully custom supporting this end right here. I think the in-game supports are pretty good as they are, so that's why I didn't want to custom support the entire layout, just where I felt like things needed to be changed a little bit, you know. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm adding the track connectors that I made in episode 1. They are adding new track connectors and new coaster support pieces in the update, so that'll be cool. I'm not gonna replace these ones with the new pieces, but I did add the actual flange piece rather than using just a thinner disc. So I think that looks a little bit better than how I was previously doing the supports. But I think that element, the big camelback with the non-inverting loop underneath it, with the very, I guess, robust support structure underneath it, I think I may actually rebuild that structure with the new pieces, just because it didn't come out as clean as I wanted it to. So I think we're gonna have to redo that one, just for quality assurance, and it was bugging me a bit. So we'll throw in the proper flanges, and hopefully it'll look a little bit better as if we redo that. And this time lapse is another opportunity for you to see how I build things. I know I talked about the camera being a lot more still in this, but except for this part, okay, the the supports, you have to get up in there with all them angles and make sure everything's perfect. So that's the exception, I feel like. But later on, you're going to see how I do the rocks and the vegetation and making the custom brushes. It really makes things a lot easier. And I didn't realize all the tools you actually have access to when you're like pressing the custom brush icon. So that is one of the features that completely blew me away while I was building this. Yeah, so one of the things I alluded to in the previous section was this parking lot's size, and to be honest, this parking lot here was kind of a hard build, I want to say, because I've never built a parking lot in a Planet Coaster game before. I think I made one in Roller Coaster Tycoon 3 back in the day, and with the path covers, and it was an interesting thing, to say the least. But this is my first parking lot in a Planet Coaster game, and as a result, it took me a lot longer, as most things that you do when it's your first time. It took me a lot longer to kind of get used to the nuances and what to actually do and how to plan them properly. Luckily, I have a little City Skylines experience, so I was able to plan things, I guess, in a way that kind of makes sense and followed modern city planning techniques somewhat. I don't know too much about that, so there's probably going to be some experts that actually know or majored in that in college, but I did not, so I tried my best, and that's all you can ever ask for, right? Yeah, this parking lot, it was pretty hard to build, and in terms of things to build in this game, it was also a little unenjoyable, just because it was a bit like repetitive and boring, like super gray, just concrete, boring. But it's infrastructure that needs to be there, so I understand it. And at the same time, I don't blame people for not putting parking lots in their parks. But just for a realism standpoint, I wanted to put one in here. So that's what we've got going around here. I think the fences are fine there. I don't know. You know those jokes that people are telling, like, you don't even need to put fencing like this in a European park because the European people are not gonna go where you're not supposed to go. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. You can assume the rest of the joke. Um, but I think these fences will suffice, that considered. But one thing I did figure out is where this park is located. So it is going to be in Germany. It's going to be on the south eastern part of Germany, near Austria. Like, I know that's a pretty wide range, like near Salzburg. So there's like a national park around that area, and that little, I guess, peninsula of Germany that sticks out into the Alps and is surrounded by Austria. That's kind of the area I wanted this park to be in. So it kind of makes sense if you look at the sandbox world geographically. Like, there's a bunch of mountains and stuff, and then there's a river, and there's some areas in that. I mean, I just did a quick Google Maps search, right? Just looking through, seeing plausible areas for this park to be in. So nothing too in-depth, so it's not going to be entirely accurate, but I just needed something for me to visualize, okay, where is this park going to be? So what architectural styles am I going to sort of draw inspiration from? Because location matters a lot. And yeah, I think the coaster supports here finishing up. I'm just adding some lighting since it is in the front. We wanted to highlight a lot of the things you're going to see, so it's visible at night. And now we're getting into some of the shrubbery placing and the rocks, and I'm looking at these brushes. They're so good. Oh my god, they just reduce the amount of time you need to spend placing things. I think it cuts it in half. Like, it would be cool, interesting to see like an actual like video where I do like a bunch of builds and average how much time I spend on rock work and plants, and then, you know, between the two games. That would be pretty interesting. Like, how much time is saved, or does it even save that much time? I think it does. You know, you just paste a bunch of rocks with the brush and then make some bigger, some smaller manually, just to throw in a little variation so it doesn't look like it was placed with a brush. I guess it's kind of the shortcut thing. That's how a lot of things are, actually, you know, like with Chat GPT. People are using that for schoolwork now, and you know, you'll ask it to write a paper for you, and then you'll go back through and say, all right, now make it sound like it wasn't written by AI. And I don't know, it's kind of funny that that's how people are doing school these days. Like, that's not even, like, you're in school to do the school things, and then if you don't actually learn, then what are you doing? But anyway, it's a similar thing here. You're using the brush. It's a shortcut to get the work done, and then you're going back through and saying, all right, how do I make it not look like it was placed with a brush? Just correcting shortcuts. And I think overall it speeds up the process a lot, but you lose some of the skill. So, but you gain a new skill in how you're gonna make it look natural after it was placed with a brush. So, just rambling. I don't know exactly if this type of vegetation is accurate to the region, but it looks cool. So I placed it. I don't know. I talk so much about realism and stuff, and then I just place whatever trees look good. I think there's like a balance to be had, right, between realism and fun and aesthetics, right? Because if something's super realistic, it might not look as pretty as you want it to. And maybe that's part of the realism, definitely, but it's also a game, and sometimes you just want to make things pretty. And that's that. All right, the time lapse is wrapping up here, so we'll do a live section at the end, and I'll kind of walk you through everything specifically that makes this parking lot work, and yeah, I'll get back to you then. So let's cut to the live section and close this video out. Alright, everybody, welcome back into the park for our final overview of everything we've done in this episode. Yeah, we're gonna get straight into it. So I wanted to go over a few of the details. So I've got an exit sign, and this is sort of going to be the main traffic exit of the park. There's another one on this side, but most of the traffic is going to end up going through here, as this traffic will be for this section of the parking. So the way I have it divided right now is the main parks section parking, the buses, and then we've got kind of resort and preferred parking over here. And it's not nearly large enough, by any means, but I didn't want to, again, bloat the park with parking lot when it's not that interesting to do. So it serves its purpose. You can see it has a parking lot, and that's all that matters. So we're going to talk about the traffic loop. So we've got the main, you see the buses are kind of traveling along the route. Unfortunately, there's these, the railings, I guess, for the powered ride. They all have those. Can't really do anything about it, but it's okay. It's not too distracting. One thing you notice is there's nothing here, and that is because we'll have the ticket booths, or the parking ticket booths, and the the arms that come down to block and admit one car at a time. We'll have those here, as well as one exit lane, which will link up with this one, merge onto the interstate over here in Imagination Land, because the park border is right here. So we'll have the entrance here, a couple lanes of traffic. I think we're going to direct most of the traffic through here, which is only one lane. That kind of sucks from like a capacity standpoint, but most traffic should just be going this way. And then we'll have resort and preferred parking off, taking this way. So we'll cover the left section first. Going left, you can turn down this lane and do the parking thing, or continue around, head to the front of the resort area before, again, it links up on this side, and then we have our first bus stop right in front of the park. And one thing you'll notice is a bunch of custom signs. So I did make all of these. We have a stop sign, a custom yield sign, and a custom German bus stop sign. If that looks familiar to anyone, that was my full intention. Although I'm not sure which city this is from, but this is the first thing I looked up when I googled German bus stop sign. So I don't know exactly what the H stands for, but in any case, now the loop then goes around. It splits off. It can continue the loop to the regular parking, or you can turn right, and you've got some bollards here to separate the two lanes, so people aren't, they might not drive on the curb anyway, but just to be safe. And got some bollards there, and I experimented with different types of bollards. So that's what these are, these concrete planters. They serve multiple purposes, so they can provide you a place to put your trees and stuff to give a little shade in the parking area, although these aren't giving much shade, arguably. But the second use is the big concrete serves as a bollard, so there's no traffic or cars driving where they shouldn't be driving. And I left a few spaces blank here, 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 and here, just because I wasn't sure what I was going to put here. I want to have a sort of statue or centerpiece, like a welcome sign here, that's super iconic, similar to like the Universal, the globe, but not kind of in the sense that it'll be in the center of an entrance plaza, but more so just like a welcome into the park type of thing. Something probably like a modern art shape design, just to add a little bit of personality and uniqueness. So that's this section. There are two bus stops currently. There's one here and one here, which we'll get to, and I'm gonna add one here later because it makes sense having one right in front of the resort, right? So this is the loop for drop off. So if people are getting, let's say, an Uber ride to the park, they'll turn in here, and get dropped off at the front entrance, and then have an easy exit. That way they don't have to go around the entire loop just to go here. And then let's talk about the other lanes of traffic. So this side has a yield, because if people are leaving, they're going to exit here, so the only ones coming through here will be the buses anyway, so there won't be much intersecting traffic. That's why I felt like giving the oncoming traffic here the right of way. Here we have the curbs, which incentivize drivers to slow down. It just makes the road appear narrower than it actually is. It's a pretty cool city planning technique. And got another planter bollard here, and a smaller tree. I don't think it's blocking visibility too much, so another yield sign just turned into traffic. And then we've got our classic parking, and got designated crosswalk areas, and notably where there's handicap parking, we've got either lowered curbs like this, or ramps like this, where someone with a wheelchair would be able to get up onto the actual sidewalk. And again, you see here, there's no ramp here, but since there's handicap parking here, we've got a ramp. And then following along, we've got not every, but frequently on these dead spaces, we've got the crosswalk patterns. And then I've also added the one-way arrows along every intersection. They seem a little frequent when you look up from above, right? But from this level, you have to know which direction the traffic is going to be in so you don't turn the wrong way. So you're coming along and you see, oh, there's an arrow this way, you know you have to turn this way. And I could probably do with rounding out this corner, because that turn is a bit awkward with it pointy. So there's just a bunch of small things that I can fix up, and that'll get worked on over time as we progress further in the park. But this is the main kind of walkway along the cliffside, right along the coaster, which I really enjoy. And this whole turnaround should probably be enclosed in a similar cliff like this on both sides. I just have not done this area yet, so that's why it's just open. So stay tuned for that. Here we have the second bus stop. Another thing you notice is that the bus stops don't have any coverings, and that is on purpose because later, once I figure out the sort of architectural style I'll have for the entrance plaza and the resort, then I'm going to make a bus stop covering in a similar style, just kind of to match everything, and then we'll plop them down here, here, and here, and it should look pretty good and cohesive. And we've got this shop here. Now I know this will never be used by any of the peeps, but I wanted to throw a sort of parking attendant in case anyone needed assistance. So it's nice to have employees out in places, and this kind of makes sense because it's very far away from the main area, where this is all easily accessible and supervised by staff. All the way over here is a bit more remote, and similarly over here, so could do with adding an attendant over here or something similar, something of the sorts. So yeah, continuing along, we've got more one-way arrows along each of the intersections. I left a lot of the space empty for buses. I know it's a lot of dead space, and the buses actually typically don't park on the main parking lot. So I think later this will get moved to another backstage section of the park, rather. So a second parking lot will probably have these housed, but in the meantime they're just here. And I know a couple parks have been adding covered parking with solar panels on top, so it's kind of multi-use, and I thought that idea was very smart, so I incorporated it here. And these are the in-game functional solar panels. Let's take a look here. The power utilities, I did connect all of them, and it's a bit janky, but it works. And these are all connected to the main power grid. And yeah, these buses, they've got, this one's a people spawner, and this one's a people spawner, and the rest are just cosmetic. And I want to spread the spawners around in the parking lot, so I'll have one here, probably one here, and so I'll have people walking from all around and just make it look more inhabited. And then we're coming along this side, and we're back into where we started, which is the exit. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the look of things, especially this entrance here. So if you can imagine, the park entrance is gonna be up here, and we're just taking a look at it from eye level. I think the trees sort of frame it pretty well. So look past all that back there, just imagine a nice plaza up here, this higher elevation. Got the ramps up on the curbs. I think the realism is definitely achieved here. And again, I use those rug pieces just colored gray, and they look like the textured ramp sections that you would commonly see. And yeah, another thing, I will be modularizing all of these specific pieces I use. So the crosswalk, the curb, the signs, the parking spaces, the lights, and all that. I'll just take one of each, like over here, clean that up, and release it on the workshop. So in case anyone wants to make their own parking lot using the similar pieces, I'll include them all in a blueprint there. Alright, that's gonna pretty much do it for me. So if you enjoyed the episode, be sure to leave a like, and if you want to catch the next one, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get notified. And yeah, we will see you here next week. Also, let me know what you guys thought of the new video format in the comments below. Really curious to know if I should change a few things or if we should move forward with this style, because I put a lot of time into this one, and once again, I'm pretty sorry with how long it's taken me to make this one. We're just trying new things, and also I've been pretty swamped with a lot of things to do, and it's a busy time of year, so hope you can all understand me there. But hopefully everything's on schedule and we'll get back in this park within the next week. So that being said, not gonna hold you too long, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.